What can you tell us about your audition? What was it like? I gather there was a lot of secrecy around it. So what was each of your auditions like?
Mine was very straightforward. I submitted a tape, and that was it. That's the story.
Here we are. It was very easy.
It was quite a quick turnaround. I hear others were less quick, but in my case, that was it. I have no associated amusing story or insight to that brief tale.
Morfydd, how was your audition?
Quite the opposite. It was long, very long, and spanned 3 countries. Started off in London, then went to LA, and then finished off in Barcelona with Jay and all his crew. And there were kind of 2 scenes, one of which was kind of with Elrond and one of which was with Halbrand. And the one with Elrond that I auditioned with, we didn't shoot for a long time. And there was such relief when that scene was finally shot. The audition was finally over.
Yeah.
A year later.
I know it's fine.
Yeah.
Mine was, I sent a tape, and then months went by. I completely forgot about the job. And they called me up and they were like, so we're going another way with the other character. Do you want this one? And I was like, yeah. I mean, but also, I was nervous about it. I always tell the story about JD calling me from the hospital. He was kind of pitching the job, and you know that this is going to be a huge time commitment, not only for you, but for your family. And I wasn't really, I was hesitant. He had called me, and I could hear that he was someplace loud. And I said, I can't hear you. He said, I'm in the hospital. I said, are you okay? He said, yeah, no, I'm fine. My wife just had a baby. But the thing about Tolkien that I want to encapsulate, like, he was so focused and so dedicated that it completely pacified any of my nerves.
I found out, I did a self-tape. I did one self-tape for the role many months before I actually found out that I had the role. So I obviously went about my life. And then I got a phone call on a Thursday, I remember, asking if I could be in New Zealand on the Sunday to start the job. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so then I flew to New Zealand, and I had 2 weeks before being on set to kind of learn all about the world. So I knew very little, and I didn't even realise when I got the scripts that I was in them. I got the first 2 episodes and couldn't see the name of the character I'd auditioned for, and so I went, oh, okay, I'm not in the show yet. And then someone said, no, this is your character. So so I discovered very much on the fly, but it was great because it was very exciting then, and far less stressful for me, I think, than some of my other castmates.
So you are Marigold Brandyfoot.
That's right.
That's correct.
Yes.
Now, Nazanin Boniardi, you are Bronwyn. What was your audition experience like?
Months long. I think my first one was April 2019, and that spanned 4 auditions. 3 of them were taped because I was traveling the world for various other things, and then one of them was in person when I was in London. And then months later, something like October, I got a sort of a Zoom call with the showrunners, and then a month after that, I found out that I have to move to New Zealand 3 weeks later. And we all had pseudonyms at the time, so we didn't, when we auditioned, we didn't have our actual character names. But there were actual sides that existed in the show for me, and very excited. I was very, very excited, but it was daunting. I had to move very quickly, relocate to New Zealand.
Right, Tyro, am I going to get this right? It's Buhafadin?
Yes.
Brilliant, I got that right. So tell me about getting your role, Theo, and what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was long, and funnily enough, my older brother Tobias actually got the audition for the role before I did. So a week beforehand, they'd sent the audition being like, yeah, we want to look at Tobias for this role, and he put down a self-tape, and then it came back a week later being like, actually, let's try Tyro because he's younger. And then I put down a tape, didn't hear anything for a while. And then
You love that part.
It's right here actually. And then yeah, didn't hear back for a while, and then all of a sudden found out I was shortlisted. That was exciting in itself. And then it all moved really fast after moving so slow, and then I found myself in New Zealand doing a screen test. A week later, I was moving to New Zealand with my mum. So yeah, that was crazy.
That's my son.
So Dylan Smith, you are Largo Brandyfoot.
I am.
So how did you go from not being Largo Brandyfoot to being Largo Brandyfoot?
Well, I think I went from being a dad a new dad to getting cast as a dad and suddenly having so much to tell. And I just did one audition, and then I think 2.5 months later got the call that I'd gotten the part, and then I actually moved with my entire family to New Zealand, and we are still down in that hemisphere because of the experience of Lord of the Rings. Yeah, didn't know who I was playing, but suspected it was a dad, and normally I either get cast as homeless or demonic villain. So it was a loving, I was very excited just to play a loving dad, and yeah, and then got to New Zealand, just from each individual I'd met, from the cast to the showrunners, it just became sort of increasingly exciting, increasingly relaxing, and just, yeah, it was super exciting to play.
If I may leap to Ismael Cruz Cordova.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about becoming an elf?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got caught in a mixture of like pride and resentment. Or how, like, people were like, it was just one audition. I was like, well, good for you. I'm proud of you, but good for you. I auditioned, my audition process was kind of as long as Nas and Eames. Actually, what, 7 months, 6, 7 months, something like that. I started auditioning in New York. I was telling this story earlier. I realized that most people did not know it was for Lord of the Rings because it was the Untitled Amazon project. But I think there was a typo in the email, the first email that I got. And then the second one they had corrected, it said Untitled Amazon project, Lord of the Rings. and then the second was like Untitled Amazon project. I was like, oh yeah, sure. So I auditioned in New York. I got that audition. Then I was in LA for a job, and I auditioned there twice as well. And I got shipped off to South Africa to do a movie, like in the desert. And by the time that I was there, I had gotten like my first rejection for the role. And I was very ferocious about it. I said, nope, we're gonna keep fighting for this thing. And somehow, Theo Park, was the casting director, my agents, and all were able to find me back in the process. And then while I was in the desert in South Africa, I put on a tape in my tent and shipped it off to the next town so that where there was Wi-Fi, and uploaded it, and then I got a response saying, nope, again. And then by that point, I was like, no, let's fight for it. I'm gonna show up at Jay Bayuna's house and convince him, and my agents were like, we would like for you not to be in jail. And it kind of started, the showrunners, they knew that I was fighting for it, and they sent this lovely email being like, listen, you're wonderful, but like it's not going your direction. And then by that point, I kind of let it go. I found myself in New York, and they actually came back and said, actually, we're gonna screen test 5 guys, and we'll give you a chance, something like that. And I went to New Zealand with absolute pretending I didn't care, but I cared a lot. And then I went and did the final screen test and got the role. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Wow.
So happy you did.
Yeah. I mean, I'm tired when I say that story. Like, and I've been tired ever since.
The story of the audition is that I auditioned for this role 2 days away from giving birth. So, yeah, my daughter was very much engaged, and there were many a midwife on speed dial saying, please don't go into London. But there I was, and I remember J.R.R. Bayona having to kind of haul me out of my camera test chair, and they were so grateful for me to be there. I then got the role, was gifted this amazing role when my daughter was then born, and she was just 5 days old, and we travelled to New Zealand when she was 10 weeks old, and there was a load of images of Deesa's incredible costume, and you'll see kind of little panels and stitching to the side, which were all removable. So in between takes, in between scenes, I was able to feed my baby and then shoot straight back on. Like, gosh. That's what this role is representing. There's far more than what we see on screen for me to be able to play her. And huge kudos for the team at Amazon for supporting a new mother in this way, so that I could do it all.
Haven't you ever wondered what else is out there? There's wonders in this world beyond our wandering.